Oh my, that was a good start, wasn't it? Right, okay, good afternoon, members, officer colleagues, DEM services, thank you very much. I'm Jose Hales, Councillor Jose Hales, Chair of the Grants Committee, and today we have an extraordinary meeting of this committee to look at the Rural England Prosperity Fund grants. So I've got to work my way through the agenda. It's going to be quite a long one today, so we've all read the agendas. I know we have. We've discussed this and what have you, and made sure that everything was ducks in a row, etc. So, with no further ado, any apologies for absence, please?
Thank you, Chair. We've not received any apologies for absence today.
I think actually I might be able to say that Councillor Hanraj has sent hers to me. She was potentially unwell this afternoon. So.
Excellent, thank you, Chair. I will note that as an apology.
Much obliged. For member colleagues, any declarations of interest?
If I may on this, Chair, so many members may have offered comments of support for applications within their patch, but as that is just your responsibility as District Councillor, if you have supported or discussed the procedure of an application, please don't feel a need to declare. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So with that ringing in our ears, colleagues, anyone got anything else over and above, if you're pecuniary or otherwise? I'll take that as a no. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 3, public questions. Do we have any of those?
None of those.
Thank you very much. Oh, number 4, the Rural England Prosperity Grants agenda item. So, may I ask which officer is going to take these? Is that you, Catherine? Thank you very much indeed. Well, in that case, it's over to you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hales. So my name's Catherine Southwood. I'm part of the business support team and I'm the programme manager for the Shared Prosperity Fund and the Rural England Prosperity Fund. I'm joined here today by my colleagues Carly Freed and Stephen Keeley, who will be supporting me today and have done so far in gathering all the information on these applications. Just as a brief recap, South Cambridgeshire District Council have £876,101 allocated to this grant scheme, and today we are bringing you 20 applications. 9 of those are community and 11 of those are businesses, and the total amount for that comes to £589,986. We did have 34 applications apply in total to the grant scheme, which amounted to £1,438,257. 7 of those applications we do currently have on hold, and we're just getting further information to hopefully progress them to the next round. 6 applications were rejected on the basis that they did not fit the criteria of the fund, and 1 application was withdrawn. Just as a reminder that the Rural England Prosperity Fund scheme has quite a short time frame on it, and as a council we need to spend the funds by the 31st of March 2025. Councillor Hales did ask me at the beginning of the meeting just to provide a little bit more information on the scoring of the scheme. So a scoring panel was set up which consisted of 2 officers per an application, which these were done independently through other officers in the council, and we tried to align them as best we could in accordance with their specialisms. So we managed to score using a weighted system, and this was based on project description, the financial case, risk and mitigation, and we also looked at social values through sustainability and inclusion and diversity. One thing we probably do need to note is that due to the wide variety of criteria in the scheme, actually it was quite difficult, but we did manage to get what we feel is a secure basis for the scoring. Thank you. Councillor Hales, are you okay if I proceed with each project?
I am, thank you very much. I think that was really good. I don't think any colleagues got any comments or questions for Catherine regarding... Bill, over to you.
No, just a technical question. We haven't got the usual faces on the screen, so can I just check that it's actually working? Because I know that there'll be people watching this.
Yeah, so this is
Over to you, Catherine.
Okay,
Thanks.
brilliant. So we'll make a start for the first application. So this has come in from Dry Drayton School and Village Association. They are applying for a resilience plan for Dry Drayton Marquee Community Enterprise. This charity supports a primary school and village community and is looking to purchase a trailer, which is crucial for transporting marquees, which are then rented out to local charities and events, which in turn fundraises about £3,000 per year, which is used to run activities within the local community at a small cost. One of the issues that they have is that one of the members of the committee is retiring, who currently owns the trailer. So they are coming in for £10,000, and they're going to be match funding £3,436.40p, and that brings the total project cost to £13,436.40p.
Thank you. Colleagues, comments, please? We're going to go run through these as Catherine offers them up and the team. So, anyone got any comments to it? I think it looks perfectly okay. Councillor Ellington.
I think that this is a really good scheme. It's obviously been running for some years, and it serves a lot of local, small village community issues, and I would support it entirely. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll echo that, actually. One of the things that Catherine said with regards to the member of the committee retiring and taking their trailer back, actually, I don't see it like that. I saw that someone was working above and beyond. So I think actually that was really, it's a very worthy application. So can I have a show of hands? In support? That's it, that's unanimous. Thank you very much, Catherine. Over to you for the next one.
So moving on to the second application that comes in from Harston Village Hall. They would like to refurbish the kitchen. The aims of this project are to refurbish the kitchen area within this community asset. Improving the facilities for inclusive use will ensure that the area is used more frequently for the benefit of the community and community groups. It's also worth bearing in mind that the kitchen is currently over 50 years old. They have applied for £10,000 from this grant scheme. They will be match funding £6,086, bringing the total project cost to £16,086.
Thank you. I've seen this kitchen. I think Queen Victoria may have eaten there when it was first put in. So, Councillor Hanley, did you have your hand up? Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, this looks like an absolutely great application. I like to see that it's good to see that there's an enhanced accessibility for wheelchair users is definitely something that we should note. So I'm very happy with this.
Councillor Hanraj.
So I think this is going to be very beneficial to the community, and I recognise its importance for the community, so I'm actually willing to support this.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Sanford.
Thank you, Dem Services. They've selected a local contractor rather than doing the usual three competitive quotes. Assuming the amount quoted is competitive, I'm not really aware of how much replacement kitchens cost, but bounce that one back to anyone who knows more about kitchens than I do.
Given the size, that figure of 16 grand is very competitive. So, yeah. Hell, I'm about to put one in my house. So I know exactly what they're costing. Gosh. Right, okay, in that case, then can I take this as a affirmation that we're all saying that that's again, it's another unanimous, Catherine, thanks.
Okay, moving on to the third application, which comes from Duxford Parish Council Friends of Duxford Green Spaces. And this is to support the Duxford Cemetery Hedges and Green Space Trees project. This biodiversity project aims to purchase 555 plants and trees to enhance the green space within the grounds of the cemetery, increasing natural habitats and supporting the local ecosystem. The amount applied for is £10,230. We don't have any match funding requirement on this one, and the total project cost is £10,230.
Thank you. I have to say that a cemetery space, when it has a lot of planting in it, has a very restful and reflective kind of feel to it. So as this takes and grows, over time, this will become a lovely space. So anybody else got something to add? Thanks. Councillor Ellington?
I was just interested that they were also going to be enhancing the opportunities for holly butterflies, and I have had to look up and see what they look like. But yes, very beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, anybody else? Councillor Hanley?
Just a question, really. I mean, normally when we look at community chest, we look critically if a parish council is not supporting a project. Is there anything that we should take from the fact that there are 3 or 4, I think, where parish councils haven't made a contribution? I think it fits within the rules. I'm just really trying to get a marker out. You know, should we worry about that, or is it just something we should say that's the way it is?
Catherine?
Sorry, Bill, just to make sure I understood your question, are you saying for community chest that we do have a requirement for match funding?
We don't demand match funding, but we do look critically where parish councils don't support a project because you wonder why.
Yeah.
That's the only, that's really it. I think here, perhaps the rules are fixed. If it meets the rules.
Yes.
I'm just asking for confirmation I'm right on that.
Yes, and actually we could use at our discretion whether match funding was a contribution, contributory as well. And I think for the rural fund, in terms of getting best value of money, for any project, if you're match funding, you're obviously boosting the additional income into the local community and businesses. So therefore, for this project, we obviously had match funding at different varying levels. And obviously the more match funding was required for larger sums of money that were bid for. So again, I think it is a good requirement to have because you're just boosting in that additional income into the local community, but definitely something to be considered in the longer term for what we do as a council.
That's fine, thank you.
Councillor Sanford?
Thank you, Chair. Just to confirm, the sheet that Lawrence handed out, the match funding column, several of the entries are NA, which to me means not applicable. Does that mean they haven't been asked or they haven't offered or either or? There's about 3 that just say NA in the match funding column.
Yes, it's not applicable. So that you had to have applications over 25,000 where there was a match funding requirement. So these obviously came in below that. Maybe not applicable was probably not the best use of wording. Thank you.
If it's any help, Councillor Sanford, so the match funding requirements are laid out on page 85 of the report in the terms.
Okay. Thanks for the questions. Have we voted on this? I don't think we have we? I was getting all excited and thinking, have we done this or not? So can I take this by affirmation that we, are those in support?
Yes.
That's another unanimous, Catherine, thanks.
So moving on to application number 4, which is the Western Colville Reading Room and Recreational Ground Charity. They are applying for a playground renovation. The charity wishes to seek funding to part fund playground improvements and are currently obtaining other funding streams for other areas of the play park to be upgraded. The costs requested are for function equipment, a combi swing and a bespoke RAF Rattling Common Lancaster aeroplane climber, which links into the village's heritage. They have applied for £20,348 and there is no match funding contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, colleagues? That's easy. I think then I shall go straight to the, do we agree with this?
Yep.
Yeah, that's another unanimous. Thank you, Catherine.
All right, application number 5 comes in from Bourne Parish Council and they are seeking funding for a pavilion refurbishment project. The Parish Council project aims to reconfigure the internal layout of the pavilion to provide a better facility for residents and visitors. With these changes, it is anticipated that the increase in users will rise significantly, as well as improving a vital community asset. They have applied for £23,000. They will be putting in a match funding of £17,000, which brings the project up to £40,000.
Thank you. Colleagues, we've seen the diagrams in the application. It's quite an extensive set of works actually to the pavilion. They're making best use of the space, which is nice.
Yeah.
And other bits and bobs. So
Thank you. Nice.
it's a 40-year-old building as well, so it's always going to need some fairly significant upgrade. So.
It's going, Chair, it's going to turn this facility into something that's very usable.
Yeah.
Usable, yeah.
Superb. Can I take this as an affirmation again?
Yeah, and they've got good match funding.
Yeah, they have. That's an answer yes then. That's an answer
Yep.
yes. Thank you, Catherine.
Okay, moving on to the next application, which comes in from Fen Drayton Parish Council to fund Fen Drayton Parish, pump track. The Parish Council is seeking funds to construct an accessible pump track to enhance existing facilities for young people in the area, as well as fostering a cohesive village feel whilst invigorating the local cycling community. So they have applied for £25,000. They are match funding £35,000, bringing the total cost of the project up to £60,000.
Thank you. Now this is actually Councillor Enton was talking to me earlier in the corporate lounge, and she said that once this goes in, if approved, that she would be getting herself one of these BMX bikes and going around the track and having a little go, which I will come and film. Any other sensible comments from my colleagues? So before I get dug in the ribs.
Chance would be a fine thing.
Right. Well, look, I think there's no questions. I think this is another one which we're just going to say thank you very much and put through. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you. Right, so moving on, the next application comes in from the George Long Charity for Swavesey Memorial Hall. They're looking to fund a Swavesey Memorial Hall solar panel project. The solar panels and associated costs requested for this project will reduce emissions at the hall, which will in turn allow for continued reasonable rates for hall hire and the ability to use more income with future improvements to the building and other community initiatives. They have applied for £25,000 and there will be no match funding contribution. Thank you.
Thank you again. Another worthwhile project, certainly with the climate considerations. Any comments, Councillor Hanley?
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see this being installed, and it's bang in line with the council's policies on trying to go as green as we can.
Thank you. Am I to suggest that we approve this? Yep, so thank you very much. That's another unanimous, thanks.
Thank you. So moving on to the next application comes in from the National Trust, and this is for Wimpole Estate Home Farm access improvements. The aims of this charity project are to improve the accessibility at Wimpole Estates Home Farm by installing hard standing at the Great Barn entrance, paddock area and the new accessible Shire Horse demo area, which will support visitors who have mobility impairments, wheelchair users and families with buggies and prams. They have applied for £26,800 and £1,000. They are match funding £2,978, which brings project total cost up to £29,779.
Thank you. Any comments, colleagues? Councillor Sanford?
I know the home farm and particularly the horses are very popular with the younger generation, so I'd definitely support this.
Thank you. Anyone else? I have to say, it's a spectacular site. I actually visited this with my new grandchild, well, my first grandchild actually, get that in there, still new, for Christmas when the little loaf was only about 6 weeks old. But they've got an extensive pathway network now to bring you around the site. They've done a lot of work, a lot of hard standing car parks, whereas you used to park on grass, didn't you, at one point? It's all proper, you know, you don't sink anymore. So I'm very, very happy that we would recommend this for approval. So I'm assuming that's the same with my colleagues. Yes, it is. That's another one. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you. So moving on to the next project comes in from Over Parish Council, and they have put an application in for Over Skate Park. The Parish Council aims to seek funding to replace existing unsafe village skate park. This will be achieved in 2 phases. Phase 1, which is the setup and groundworks of the project and is requested for the funding from this application. And the Parish Council are currently in the process of obtaining Phase 2 funding from additional sources. So they have come in and applied for £100,000 and will be match funding £20,000. The total project cost will be £270,000.
Thank you, Catherine. Now, this is an interesting one as well, as you probably have seen. Councillor Handley had said to me earlier in the corporate lounge that he was going to go shopping with Councillor Ellington and they both buy a bike each. Obviously, they'll get a discount for buying multiple bikes. But again, I'd like to be able to see this if you whiz around this one as well. So, any other sensible comments from colleagues? Councillor.
As I said right at the beginning, Chair, this is in my village. I know the people who are applying for the money. I come to it afresh, though. I must say I've been really pleased with the way they've consulted with the with the parish on this, because obviously skate parks can be controversial, but there's been one on this site for over 20 years. It is at the end of its life. It's used every day. Yeah, used at the end of its life. So I'm fully in favour of it. I hope you don't mind me saying that.
Not at all. So, Councillor Sanford.
Thanks, Chair. Could the officers explain the amounts involved? Total project cost 270,000, amount applied for 100,000, match funding 20,000. Seems to be a gap there.
There is. So, sorry, I probably didn't explain it very well. Basically, there's 2 phases in the application. So just to make it clear that we are funding the first phase of this project. They are well on their way to raising funding for the second half, but really in this application it is for the groundworks of the skate park, but it will be supporting them to get to the final stage.
Thank you. On that basis, then, colleagues, are we approval? Recommendation? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was the last of the community ones.
That was the last of the
So now we're going on to the business applications, yeah? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So the first application coming in from a business comes in from the Sweetie Factory. They are looking to fund the Sweetie Factory business expansion. So this is an independent business and it is seeking funds to purchase specialist equipment to enable their business to thrive. The equipment and the funding will fund equipment for 2 chocolate tempering machines, an edible ink printer and supporting equipment. The expansion will allow for jobs to be created, foster community ties and contribute to the local economic growth. And they have come in for £12,836. There's no match funding requirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Colleagues? Councillor Sanford, then Ellison.
Thank you, Chair. As one of the local members, I was invited to support this application. I've actually abstained because I can't quite see where they're coming from and where they're going to. The business address is actually a residential home in Summersfield Estate in Papworth, which is probably a single person making cakes in their kitchen. I'm not clear from the explanation that's been given whether they're going to look for specialist premises. Obviously, if they're hiring staff, they can't all work in the proprietor's kitchen. So I would have liked to see more information or even a business plan of what they're planning to do with this before supporting it.
Can I just come in on that, Councillor Hales? So actually, we do have a really good business plan for this business, which we can share with the committee if we defer this application. Out of all the applications, actually, it was the best business plan, and that might give us a little bit more insight to the future plans of this business, if that's helpful.
I suppose one of the questions to answer, if you can, is Councillor Sanford's question, and is this being done in a kitchen sort of thing? And
yes, and I think it's quite important to recognise that actually, you know, we have these small home start businesses, and again, this money would be supporting that business to expand in the future.
That's all fine if they have given you the information, but handing out nearly £13,000 to someone who's making cakes in the kitchen without the supporting documentation, personally I'm a little uncomfortable with that, but I'll go with the majority of the committee.
Councillor Ellison.
My question was very similar, that there was no evidence that there was room to put this equipment, if you see what I mean. And most of the homes in Papworth are owned by the trust, are they not? And
This is the trust property.
oh, right, fine, fair enough. I didn't know enough about that, and I just wondered whether the trust were happy with it being used in that way. But there's quite a bit of equipment here, and you need quite a bit of space to put it in, and I would like just to be sure that there is space.
Councillor Hanley.
Chair, we've got this business case sitting behind this that Catherine can make available to us. We could defer, or we could just say to Councillor Williams, if he's satisfied, we're satisfied. I don't know if that's appropriate. He understands, you know, sitting there, you know, Councillor Williams knows our concerns. Again, I'm asking a question.
You're right, because as you started to speak, Councillor Williams put his hand up, so I'll let him come in and say.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Sanford, actually, for your local knowledge, because it wasn't obvious to me reading this. I'd assumed that this was a business premises, because I didn't realise the address was a domestic address. I didn't have the benefit of the papers. It does concern me, because there's one thing that it says, and I don't know whether this is you paraphrased what the applicant has said, Catherine, but It says here, the business is ready to expand, focusing on increasing production capacity, expanding premises. Now, if it's in a residential house, I'd want to see, well, what the planning situation with that is. I mean, is it possible for them to expand in the current location? So, on that basis, I wouldn't be happy to sign this off at this time without a bit more information about how they intend to. I mean, reading it, it suggested to me that there was more than one person, there were two people involved. But that issue about, as I say, I wasn't aware it was a domestic premises. I thought it was a retail or commercial premises. So this issue about expanding the premises, I'd like to understand that more before I can agree to this. Thanks.
I think, yeah, thank you, Councillor Sanford. Councillor Hanraj, you want to say something? Sorry.
I was going to say the exact same thing that John Williams said.
Lovely. Okay. Do you have enough information, Catherine, and
Yes, so
comments from
we
colleagues?
can take that away and bring that back possibly Thursday in the next Grants Advisory Committee. We
That'd
do
be-
have
yeah,
a
that'd be lovely, actually, yeah.
on there.
Are you happy with that, Councillor Williams? Thursday okay for you?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I just want to understand the planning situation and whether or not they require planning permission to do it.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think it's a very wise process because, you know, what you've rightly said is, if there is a planning issue, then
Yeah.
sometimes that can take a while to go through the system. So, all right, thank you. So if we defer that then
Yeah.
for information from colleague officers, and then okay, next one then. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to the Farmland Museum, Denny Abbey. They have come in seeking funding for a website for the Farmland Museum and Denny Abbey. This business and charity are looking for funding for a new website. The modern functionalities of the website, such as booking in system, embedding videos, etc., will allow for a better customer experience, increasing visitor economy numbers and boosting the local economy to the area. They have applied for £18,500. There's no match funding requirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. If I might, before colleagues jump in, have you got more information on the website? And it talks about here booking and what have you. But 18.5 grand for a website that's one stonking website for an expected footfall of 10 to 12,000 people per annum. That's my red flag is waving around on the top of my head here. So if you have any of that information, that'd be really kind. Thanks.
For all applications, we have requested 3 quotes.
Three quotes.
In terms
and that's
of functionality, yes.
So do you have any information as to what they're getting for the 18.5, or just specifically for that?
It's basically a full interactive website. Basically, it's going to be a full interactive website with updated photography, so there's photographers involved in coming doing a video of the site as well. There's a cafe which is part of the museum, which is going to have a separate part on the website, so it's a full professional website. And I believe the servicing of the website included as well. And the 3 quotes that have come in, that was the cheapest of the 3.
Okay, so there's an on cost of servicing and maintaining
Their
the
current
site.
website is very archaic and very
Yeah.
old and doesn't do the job it's meant to do.
How long's the servicing for? Is that for a year or is that for a number of years?
I think it's just the first 12 months, but I will check that. I'm just trying to find it as we speak.
Okay, thanks. Colleagues, Councillor Sanford?
Yeah, just following on from that, they do realise they're going to have to maintain this site in perpetuity, pay the hosting company, presumably update every time the admission prices increase, all that kind of thing. So it isn't just a one-off expense. They do need resources and presumably someone with tech knowledge to maintain this.
The website quote includes the first 12 months free of charge. Then after that is £2,000, £2,040 a year for technical support and hosting. After that, they're hoping that this will bring in extra revenue from people who can book online that have struck, because at the moment the website doesn't allow them to book.
Okay, so they're hoping it'll be self-funding, as it were. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Hanley?
I'm no expert, but I'm having a look at the website now. It looks fine to me, the one they've got, to be honest. But you know, maybe it's just old-fashioned, and you know, maybe it's stuff at the back end that needs to be brought up to date. So, and I couldn't possibly comment on that. But on the face of it, it looks like a perfectly good website now.
I'm looking at my colleague, Councillor Williams, and this has been over a number of years that the Farmland Museum have been looking to upgrade, move with the times, if you like, I suppose, with tech and what have you. So I can understand why, and if the site is going to be an interactive site, so to speak, that takes a lot of bandwidth anyway. So, okay, any other questions? Right, Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Chair. I am minded to approve this, only in that, as you know, we used to fund the Farmland Museum, and we stopped funding it because we felt that it was capable of standing on its own 2 feet. But I feel that, you know, we should give it support where we can. I hear what Councillor Hadley said, but my experience of the website is a bit cranky. It's not up to date, and so I'm quite happy to support this. I assume that they've in their business plan made a provision for continuing with the licence and the maintenance of the site, but that, at the end of the day, is down to them. I mean, what they're asking for is, it's the money to have a new site, and I can't see any reason not to do that and support them in that way, because we don't have many museums in our district, so I think we ought to be supporting them with this particular project, even though we don't support them on a revenue basis.
Thank you. Adding to what Councillor Williams said, it's the footfall which needs to increase drastically. I mean, they have a cafe which they were struggling with to fit. If you look at 10 to 12,000 people visiting at the moment, that's 40 a day, and that's not including Saturday and Sundays. So that is not a great deal of footfall. It will be interesting. In actual fact, Councillor Williams, there's something that's been nagging away at me when I was reading through all these applications. Is there a process from an officer point of view where the money is grant funded and maybe, and then obviously we ask, how's it going? And have you had an increase in footfall or business? And all that? I take it that's as a red, yeah?
Yes, absolutely, and that's part of the conditions of the fund from central government, is that we measure those outputs and outcomes. So again, within the contract, so if we fund a project as part of the contract agreement, they have to provide the monitoring information. And again, as part of our fraud risk assessments for the higher summed projects, again, even if it means that we go out and visit those projects to ensure that all those measures have been implemented and they've actually spent the money where they've said they would.
Yeah, I think I'd be interested to see.
Yeah.
This is a lot of money for essentially an IT aspect of something which is hoping to increase footfall. So there's something missing at the front end of this, which is the advertising about how you tell people about your website, etc., unless that's in the business plan. That obviously we haven't seen that. So there's a whole raft of things here that are nagging away at me. So, okay, well, I've had the words from the lead member for finance. So I think we're agreed that we'll go with it. But I'm glad that there's going to be some data retrieval, and I think I'll be very welcome to understand that at a future date. Perhaps we could have a meeting and a briefing session, if you like, as to how these. Was it 6 months the first one?
Yes, and we actually got that in our project plan, so we will bring a report of an update on all the projects once they're completed.
That's fabulous. Thank you very much. So in that case, I'm looking at my colleagues. That's a yes from us. Thanks.
Okay, brilliant. Are you okay for me to move on to the next one, Councillor Hales? Right, so next business application comes in from Nova Hub Limited. They are seeking funding to improve digital connectivity for temporary events, spaces and communities. This independent business is looking for funding to support their business expansion by purchasing networking equipment to allow them to support the successful running of other business events, festivals, shows, etc., which in turn provides a better customer experience, promotes more tourism and boosts the local rural business economy. I think the main objective of this is that actually they're providing that digital connectivity to those rural spaces. They have applied for £22,861 and there's no match funding requirement.
Thank you. Colleagues? Councillor Henley?
Can I ask, if there's no given district councillor support, has any been forthcoming since the report was written?
I'm just going to jump in there. Councillor Hawkins expressed support that was listed in the update report published before the weekend. I can read it to you if it would be helpful. Councillor Hawkins has given full support and described it as having a unique selling point of providing both advice and services to rural-based small businesses on their Wi-Fi and internet connectivity needs. Excuse me. Being a rural community still has internet connectivity challenges because mainstream operators do not see rural vision as being viable for their business models, and this is what Nova Hub specialises in. The full detail, I shan't read the full thing, but essentially Councillor Hawkins' view seems to be that this will provide digital connectivity to rural organisations where large companies won't provide it. Is that helpful?
Okay, if I just it's probably also worth mentioning they are the business that are actually currently providing the Northstowe Temporary Community Building. So again, I think that's an example of the type of work they do, where they're trying to support that kind of very rural improvement in connectivity.
Thanks. Colleagues, anybody else? Okay, then I think that's looking at my colleagues for a nod or a shake. That's a nod. Thank you very much. That's unanimous.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to the next application, we have Lord Conrad's Brewery. They are applying for a micro canning and solar generator. This funding request is for the purchase of a beverage canning machine and pro solar generator. Using these pieces of equipment will allow for a more sustainable way to package recyclable cans and use solar as an alternative carbon-friendly fuel source. They are applying for £23,200, and there's no match funding requirement.
Thank you. Any questions from Councillor Anton?
I'm just slightly confused by the outputs and outcomes. Number of businesses supported 30. Number of farm businesses supported 9, and so it goes on. And is it just, as I understand it, this is going to be a plant which produces canned beer, and I don't understand how all these other businesses are supported, if that makes sense. It may be me being stupid, but
Not at all. I think that's a very good question. So again, on the application, we did ask the applicants to kind of outline the outputs and outcomes, and some of them can be very subjective. What we've taken away from this is in terms of, so they manufacture a product, and the additional businesses that would be supported by that. So again, they are just main distributor to the small micro breweries, small kind of pop-up festivals, those types of things. So in this, they're kind of saying to us, by making that easily distributable, actually that's how they're supporting it. So again, it's kind of open to interpretation, really. So can my colleague Stephen just come in as well?
Just to give you an example on the solar generator, he's currently got a generator that's not permitted in South Cambridgeshire because it's a petrol generator. So he, for example, has lost out on several events during the course of last year because he couldn't attend because he didn't have power. So having the solar will allow him to then attend events, which then sells to other customers and other businesses, etc. So it gives him the portability to be able to sell. His current system is quite expensive to produce the bottles and quite costly for postage as well. The postage has trebled in the last couple of years. So having the canning machine brings it back up to date with other breweries in the local district who have got canning machines already. Unfortunately, the manufacturer either makes a small one or a huge one, nothing in between. This gentleman's in between, so he's having to spend this amount of money to get a machine that's fit for his business that will take him forward to the future as well, so he can grow.
All makes sense. Councillor Sanford.
Thank you. District councillor support not obtained. I think this was another where there was a recent update, Lawrence.
Again, in the update report, we have support from both local members, Councillors Corinne Galvey and Richard Stobart.
Anybody else? Questions? Councillor Williams, you okay? Yep. Okay then, I'm looking at my colleagues. That's a yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next application, which comes in from Hope Against Poverty, CIC. They are seeking funding to support a community farm project. This project is requesting funding for start-up costs for the Hope CIC community farm in Girton, and they are looking for tools and equipment, including fencing and a ride-on lawnmower. This project will have sustainability and inclusivity at its core, and the community-driven model, which will promote skills and education whilst contributing to food distribution through Hope's existing food hub projects. They have applied for £24,777, and there's no match funding requirement. Thank you.
Councillor Hamraj.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Histon doesn't belong to this area which is funded by this particular fund. I'm not sure Girton does. I'm not sure about Girton, but I know Histon is.
Yes, so this applicant works mostly in Cambourne under Hope CIC, which is registered to Leicester. But if the applicant can demonstrate those local links, then they are applicable to apply.
We do already grant fund Hope, if I recall. Councillor Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. Two questions I've got about this, actually, thinking about this. I mean, one of the questions I was going to ask is, this land is owned by the County Council.
Yes.
And it's leased to them. Do we know how much the County Council are charging them?
We don't actually, I don't believe.
It's not a lot. I will get the. I'll try
Right,
and
okay.
get
No,
We have a copy
so
of the lease.
it's not a commercial rate anyway.
No, it won't be.
Right, okay, so that's happy about that. Otherwise, I think we'd be asking our colleagues in the county some questions on that. The other issue I've got is the actual lease. It's only 5.5 years. And given how long it takes to it will take them at least probably 18 months to get that land in a state in which to start growing. So we're probably looking at 2 years, which gives them, you know, maybe 2.5 years, 3 years only on that site. Is it because the county won't, do we know, is it because the county won't give them a tenancy of more than 5.5 years, or is it a case that that's all they've asked for?
We don't have that information to hand. The cost of the is very nominal actually for each year. It's a very small amount of money, less than £1,000 a year to rent the land. I believe it's been vacant for a number of years. It's very overgrown, 6 to 8 foot weeds on the site, so it is definitely overgrown. I've had no indication as to why it was a shortish lease, whether that's the standard practice for a first lease from the county council, I don't know. We can find out if you want us to find out though.
Councillor Williams, would it be worth asking officers to see if there's a reason from county for the short lease term, and then...
The only reason for this is that, you know, a ride-on mower, which is the biggest cost, so it's going to last more than, 5.5 years, and tools and equipment. And again, you know, I'm just thinking, and the fencing, for something they've only got a 5.5 year lease for, you know, that's quite a lot of money that we're giving them. Given the fact that they won't actually start seeing any production from that land for probably 2 years. So it does, would like to see them being able to demonstrate a longer lease there than 5.5 years. But it's still the money for what they're asking for. Given the state of the land, you know, if it was a case that it was a field and it just required being, you know, sort of hoed and stuff, that's fine. But it looks there seems to be some trees there, and yeah, it's in quite a bad state by the look of this Google photo. So I think I'd like to know a bit more, and especially as it's out of the district. So, you know, we would be expecting our residents to be benefiting from this, and if it's not going to produce anything for our residents, I do question whether it's a worthwhile project to support.
The business plan for this, I'm assuming they've got one.
Yes, but can I also just say that it is in Girton, so it is within the district. Yes, so it is Southampton. Hope CIC are registered in Leicester, but obviously that's for this. It falls under the remit. Sorry, I just wanted to make that clear. Yes.
So in answer to a question related to John's point with regards to the 5.5 years, 5.5 lease, and this is just a very large allotment, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So having had an allotment in the past, I realised just how much work there is to bring a derelict, overgrown allotment back to life, and I think the 18 months you're not far off. And there's a fair amount of money to go in the ground as well that you don't see. Mm-hmm. So there's all big on costs. I just wonder whether or not in their business plan it gives any kind of greater detail that could put everyone's minds at rest, if you like. Because it's a really good idea. So it's a really, really good idea, and if it works, it's fabulous. But as Councillor Williams said, you know, we're investing 15 grand shy of 15 grand in a mower. Fencing that we may lose because it's for somebody else's land, and then there's the tools which fade away afterwards. So we're looking at a fair chunk of investment evaporating overnight.
Again, I think on this one we're happy to go away and bring that information on Thursday.
That'd be a Thursday again.
Yeah, quite possibly.
We'll go to, I think, who was first? Councillor Sanford, then Hanley.
Thank you. Can we also check on the planning situation? I know the site says Eastern and Girton Farm over the door, but it doesn't look like this particular piece of land has been used for agriculture in many long years. There might be a change of use application needed and all the fun that goes with that. So if you can check on the planning situation, please.
Adding to that, is this a county farm?
Yes.
That's the bit that then, if your alarm bell council is ringing, have they got any plans to get shot of this farm, county? Because that might be the reason why they got a 5.5 year lease.
That did cross my mind actually, because I know county farms are disposing of land, and yeah, so it's another consideration.
Councillor Hanley.
Love to be able to support this because Hope CLC have done so much good work. But I agree. I had the same concerns as Councillor Williams. To turn this area of land, and the aerial photograph shows that it's not going to be an easy job to turn it around into not even agricultural land. They're trying to turn it into horticultural land, which is actually more difficult still. And also, I would question the expertise. Have they got the expertise to do it? Because it's not something that anyone can just turn their hand to. Really isn't. So I'd like to see the business plan give those answers to those questions. Really, I mean, I don't know if you're going to get time to do it before Thursday, but if you could, great. If not, no.
Well, if not, in actual fact, Councillor Williams, I don't know if you agree with this, but if officers struggle to be able to bring the ones we're deferring, so to speak, to this Thursday, since it's only 3 days away, there's always the following grants committee meeting. So a month isn't going to kill anyone, and we're still within the time limit to dispose of this money. So if you're happy with that, it gives officers a little bit more breathing space, to be frank, as given the time of year as well. So if that's okay with you, then that's okay with us, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, given the fact that this could actually demonstrate that this can be done and might encourage others to do similar projects, I think we need to get it right rather than be a bit hasty on it.
Councillor Linton.
It would seem to me that they don't actually need a ride-on mower, they need a rotavator.
Hence my question about expertise.
Okay, in that case, then this is a deferral to whenever, yeah? Thanks.
Okay, yeah. We will endeavour for Thursday. If not, it will be the next Grants Advisory Committee meeting. Okay, thank you very much. So moving on to the next application, which comes in from Barklow Estate, and this is for a Barklow Community Firewood Scheme. The project aims to repurpose wood from the estate's already felled diseased trees and sell as firewood to the local community through the purchase of a specialised piece of equipment which will handle and process wood. It will provide benefit to both the community and business, reducing a carbon saving and paving the way for a significant replanting programme. They have applied for £25,000 and will be match funding £1,650, bringing the total project cost up to £26,650.
Am I missing something? Forgive me. I always understood that with carbon capture and stuff like this, if you grow a tree and it goes back to the ground, that's fine. The ground takes it back and the carbon is stored within the ground. If you chop it up and burn it, you're chucking it back into the atmosphere again. So I'm just wondering whether or not this is actually a sustainable, and I'm really happy to be proved wrong here, but I have something nagging on this one. So over to you, Catherine.
No, I think you are completely right and I completely agree. But again, I think that is the short-term benefit, that the wood is diseased and dead and they need to clear it to make way, so they might as well generate additional income and provide some benefits to the community. So again, on carbon reduction, that side of the project is not going to realise any carbon reduction. However, I think we need to recognise that by clearing the way for planting new trees, that's actually where the carbon reduction benefit will come in.
And just to add to that as well, he mentioned in his application that by clearing some of the dead areas, it will make way for ground level species of plants, which will increase biodiversity and create space for flora and fauna for species such as dormice, nightingales and woodland butterflies. So by clearing the trees, the canopy will be open to the sun and all the elements, which will then hopefully encourage the biodiversity.
Is the wood for the community use as an energy source, is that going to be free? Or is it they selling it to people?
They're going to be selling it at a very reduced cost to the community.
Okay, colleagues, questions? No questions? Councillor Williams, got any questions? If there's no questions, then that can't be any dissent. So I think we'll go along with this one then and say, fine. I look forward to the masses of data that come in on how much they've saved the world and what have you, and et cetera, et cetera. But, oh, hang on.
I will abstain on this one. I've got nagging feeling in the back of my mind that burning firewood in Argos is not the done thing these days, but I can't pull anything up, so...
That's the bit that bothered me, because they're trying to do away with wood burners, aren't they? Yeah. So the government, I mean, you know, it's... Anyway, Councillor Hanley.
Yes, Councillor Sanford makes a very good point. I'd be much more comfortable if we were supporting the purchase of the trees to replace the ones that are being removed. That would be, I think, far more in line with this council's objectives.
Good point. Anybody else? Councillor Ellington?
Well, I've got a log burner, but and it's the most precious thing in my house. It's lovely. But what I don't see is any inclination to dry this wood before it's sold for burning, because that is one of the criteria, is it not, for reducing the amount of carbon that is released. And that was perhaps the issue that I was trying to struggle my way through and see whether I could see anything there that would help me to feel more comfortable.
Catherine?
Can my colleague Stephen just come in on that,
Sure.
please?
I'll try to answer that one. Apparently, as far as I understand from the application and reading through the detail, the wood in question has already been drying for a year, so the machinery will be to utilise that wood first. Then next year they'll utilise this year's wood that would have been chopped down over the next coming months for the following year, which would have a long time to dry. So basically, there's a stockpile of wood waiting.
Okay, I think I'm looking at the lead member and he's not crying or wringing his head, so that's okay. I think we need to, I'll do a show of hands rather than affirmation on this. So for those in favour of it, could you raise your hand? 3. Those not supporting it, or those abstaining? 2. Okay, so we're carried with 2 abstentions. Okay, thank you. So I think it's going to be data-driven, this one, afterwards.
You've got, I think Catherine said earlier that you've got business plans behind all of these applications. I mean, I'd quite like to see the business plan for this one,
you can show that.
please.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next application comes in from the Linton Kitchen, and this is for the Linton Kitchen Bakery expansion. This business is seeking funds to expand their business, which will create jobs, increase sustainable practices, support other local businesses and promote the local economy. They are seeking funding to purchase flooring, ovens and commercial equipment such as cake mixers and shelving to allow the expansion to happen. They are applying for £25,000 and there is no match funding requirement.
Colleagues, questions? This looks like a,
Seems fair enough.
this is like a very tidy application, and I like cake, so. I don't have anything to say about it other than, yeah, I want to support. So am I looking at my colleagues here?
Yep.
That's everyone's supporting that one. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you. The next application comes in from Maggie's Farm for Topfield Farmyard improvements. This independent retailer and coffee bar, which also hosts rentable units and leisure building, is looking to upgrade the kitchen, frontage, install EV charging points, greenhouse, fencing and landscaping as part of their expansion project. Biodiversity is embedded within their plans, and the project will allow for events, classes, workshops and activities to be carried out. They are applying for £25,000 and there's no match funding requirement. Thank you.
Is they putting EV charging in?
Yes.
Do you know how many?
Just the one, I believe.
Okay. Just doesn't seem like a lot of money for what they want to do. With no other money going into the project. What's an EV's about 5 to 7, isn't it? Give or take. Okay. Colleagues, questions? Councillor Sanford.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised they've included an EV charger in this project. They could have applied for a separate grant for that. There's, I believe, a amount of funding still available on that scheme. So take out the EV charger and they've got an extra £5,000 for the general project. Just a thought.
Do you have anything to say on that, Councillor Williams? Because actually, that's a really good point. I mean, if this application was to go back to the applicant to say, have you considered that, since there is EV money around? Unless Catherine says there
Can I
isn't.
just come in on that? Again, I think we need to remember that this funding needs to be spent by March 25, so it would be prudent to spend on, even though we do have grant schemes that are similar, as part of the bigger package as well. Just something to consider.
Just on the EV charging grant, I would have to go away and review, but I think it would be worth checking the guidance of our grants and make sure that they are an eligible applicant under the District Council's EV charge point scheme. I'll take a note of that and see if it gets info.
Any other comments?
I mean, I'm happy to accept this one, to be honest, but having the EV part of it actually makes it far more, a better case from my viewpoint, actually. So, yeah, I'm reasonably happy with this.
Okay. All comments welcome. Thank you very much. That's an approval by 5 of us. That is indeed. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next applicant, which comes in from Fired Up Pizza. This project is, the applicant has come in to ask for funding for an expansion of the business. The aims of the project are to help expand the independent mobile food business by purchasing a mobile pizza oven, signage and website redesign. The expansion would allow the business to create jobs for local people, including teenagers, helping them to get into the workplace. They have applied for £25,000 and will be match funding £2,600, bringing the total project costs up to £27,600. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. At the beginning of this meeting, you gave us a quick briefing, if you like, on the scoring system. This has got quite a lowish score. And that's not to say it shouldn't be approved one way or the other, but it's just, is there any information you can give us on that as to why it came in low, potentially? Unless that's a confidential part of the...
No, absolutely not. So I'm just looking at some of, sorry, can I just go down a minute? And so some of the comments made by the officers, again, I think the project outline just lacked some detail. So the business case was not as strong as some of the others that we had seen, although we are familiar with this business as a local business. And they also... Yeah, so we haven't got anything else to add apart from just a not very detailed business plan.
Would the lack of detail to the business plan, do you think, is this a new company, a new business?
Relatively new, although we do know they trade locally and are known to us through some of the work we do in the business engagement team. So again, it's a very, very small business, and again, some of the information provided was not as detailed as we would like. However, we recognise that they are a local business and are known to us.
Okay. Councillor Hanraj.
Says website redesign is over 6,500 for, it seems a bit excessive.
We had one earlier for 18,500, so...
This is a small business van.
Again, can I just come in on that? We have also received 3 quotes. So again, it does look like a competitive price.
Councillor Hanley?
Another question for you, sorry, Catherine.
That's okay.
You see that the mobile pizza oven just over 19,000. Is that a modification to a truck to make, to make it a mobile pizza? I mean, you're not going to get a van. You're not going to get a van with a pizza oven. Part of it is for 19,000. Do you actually know what that capital item is?
Yeah, I can explain. So it's basically on a trailer that goes onto the back of the truck. It's a portable machine, so you can take it to an event, unhook the trailer, drive off and leave the trailer there, then they'll work from the trailer I think it almost kind of flips into a work area around the pizza, so they can actually use that as part of their stall, so it becomes an integral part of the kind of setup, if you like. And with the website, just to go back to the website area, they're looking to enhance the website to allow bookings. So it's not a full new website, it's just an enhancement to the existing one, which is quite a newish one they've got. So it will just extend it into a bigger website to allow bookings for events.
I'm very supportive of this sort of stuff. Lots of these little businesses popped up during COVID, and bless them, they kept everybody supported and what have you. I think it's fabulous. I don't know that was just the case of this one, but it's a small business which has popped up, which is great. The trailer oven sounds like a state-of-the-art piece of kit by the looks of it, which is great. And given the fact that we had an application, but the trailer was requiring 10 grand, I can see where the cost of that has now been lumped into the pizza oven. I'm kind of disappointed, I think would be the politest way of doing it. Had you gone to a bank and said, can I have 25,000 please, and here's my business case, and they scored it at 31, they may not have given them the 25,000, but they wanted hook, line and sinker and chapter and verse. And I think, I wonder whether or not there's any way, I don't want to put too much onto Thursday or the next day, or the next meeting. I don't mind the next meeting even, but I mean, it's not a problem for me. But I'm just wondering whether or not there's any margin to ask for any more detail to the business plan. Is there something they've missed? Have they just thought it wasn't required, if you like? We are a very congenial bunch of people as this district council. So I'm just, pretend it was a bank, one of the big nasty banks, and you're trying to get 25 grand out of them. How many hoops you have to jump through? And I personally think we're kind of owed that a little. I don't like it when there's not much effort. They're unable to do that, they need to say. and they can say to you, and you can brief the committee, and we will accept your briefing, and you read between the lines on that one.
Okay.
But yeah,
Is
if
there
that's,
something
if that's
you'd like-
acceptable to colleagues and Councillor Williams, I think I'd like to push this over if I can.
Okay.
I think we need to have. This isn't £2,000 that we're normally dealing with here. This is 25k. It's a lot of dosh. So
I think what you're talking about, Chair, is due diligence. And I think we've got to do that. It's public money.
So,
So am I happy to say this one's deferred and we bring back on Thursday or the following committee?
yes, please. Yeah,
Okay.
like I say, you're starting to. What's that? 4 now.
Yeah.
I think one of them was particularly urgent. I think I think the first one or second. But like I say, we have a fairly full agenda for Thursday as well. So if it's a short one that we can go, that's fab. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Or just push it to the next one.
Okay.
Thanks ever so much.
Thank you.
Actual fact, if there's any of those applications which are going to lose out because of another month, then probably that might be a trigger for Thursday.
Okay.
Thanks. That's Sanford.
Just been utilising Mr. Google, and I see we can get pizza oven on a trailer for 2,700 plus VAT. So maybe a lot more detail on exactly what they're purchasing for the 27,000 would be prudent, please.
Okay, we'll bring that back next time. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving on to the next application, which is the Horningsea Community Interest Company, and they are looking for improvements to the hospitality facilities at the Plough and Fleece Inn. This community interest company aims to improve facilities at the premises, including installing commercial kitchen equipment and purchase of a barbecue street food trailer. These enhancements will support the current tenants in expanding the catering business, which is facing closure due to inefficient investment in the building, which is a pivotal social and cultural venue within the community. They are applying for £40,000, will be match funding £10,000, bringing the total cost of the project up. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Colleagues, questions?
So this is a community pub, basically, aren't we? Talking about a community pub. Is it the only one? I'm not actually familiar with Horningsea. Presumably, is it the only pub in the village? That makes a stronger case for my book. Well, I thank you for that information, Councillor Williams. In that case, I'm really quite supportive, because I think that too many pubs are being lost. They're community. They are assets of community value in the real terms. And if the community are putting their efforts into improving the pub that they have in their ownership, I think that's only to be applauded. That's my view.
Thank you, Catherine. I agree. Kitchen equipment in the commercial sector is jolly expensive. It has to be quite hard wearing as well. So, yeah, I'm very much of the same mind. Any other comments from colleagues? In that case, can I take this as a yes from all of us? That's a yes. Yeah. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, we have an application from Jack's Gelato, and they're applying for an expansion of Jack's Gelato. So this independent business is seeking funds to expand their business to purchase a specialised waffle cone maker and 10 beehives. The project will create 10 jobs, safeguard 12, and support 6 other businesses, as well as increasing farm volunteers. They are applying for £100,000, They are match funding £104,331.63p, bringing the total cost of the project to £204,331.63p. Thank you.
Thank you. No pictures of this one as to what a waffle cone maker looks like for £100,000?
Sadly not, because this is a specialist piece of equipment and the gentleman's had to go to Italy to get the quote. So it came in an Italian form of a quotation with no photos. I did try lots of research online to try and find something equivalent. There isn't much detail in this country to find anything that looks like it. So unfortunately not.
The slightly sarcastic side of me says, did the Italians not have cameras? You know, I mean, yeah, for heaven's sake. I'm slightly numb, if you like, where we criticise the pizza oven people for not necessarily doing a stonking business case. Now, this one has got a much higher score, that's fine, but asking for this sum of money, I'd have expected bells, whistles, you name it, to come on this application. Not that I'm saying it's not a good application. It's employing people, it's doing other bits and pieces. It's great. Yeah, the landowner is Cambridgeshire County Council as well. So, do you know where they're based? Are they on a farm?
Yes,
Yes.
it's on the farm at Girton.
Girton again.
Going again, right. So, do they have a long lease?
Good question. That's something
And
we will
are they on
find
the same farm as the Hope? I'm assuming, perhaps, might not be, but are they vulnerable from a county council point of view? Whilst this is equipment, you can go to another base. Yeah, that said, but yeah, Councillor Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. My concern here is about the beehives, actually, because while they are talking about purchasing 10 beehives, they don't mention employing someone who's a, what do you call someone that keeps bees? I can't remember that. But they don't mention how these bees are going to be looked after and kept. And keeping bees is not easy, particularly these days when you have diseases and other pests that are actually reducing the bee population at the moment. So I'd like to know a bit more about how they're going to manage these beehives to ensure that they produce enough honey to do whatever they want to do. Yeah, so that's my only concern on this is the fact that they seem to, there's nothing here about, you know, the production of the honey and the bees.
Councillor Ellington.
Yes, I was interested in the beehives, and it's a bit like my friend who said, I want to put a water butt in my garden, and I said, where's your downpipe? And she said, what do you want downpipe for? It's no use just putting 10 beehives in the middle of nowhere with bees in, presumably. They do have to have somewhere in which to forage. And so it all needs to make sense a bit more.
So, I think since this is certainly the most money to ask for in this particular session, I think it does fall to us, as you rightly said earlier, Councillor Hanley. We need to be very careful about what we do here. I think on this one, could we all have the business planners? I think you requested the other one, so that's fine. In actual fact, we've asked for information on these. This is number 5. I think we'll defer this one for the extra information. If you don't feel that the information is in the business plan, I just wonder whether or not any of those applications should be contacted again and said, is there anything you need to add? I think the beehives is an absolute classic. So, and the county council aspect, what's their longevity like for this site? Because £100,000 worth of investment is a lot of money. And again, I use, dear Mr. Bank, you know, may I have £100,000 and the hoops that you'd have to jump through there. So, okay, thank you.
Can I also say that when we're looking under green considerations, it again is another case where they're in the process of needing to obtain planning permission. So again, with previous, I know we had an application, didn't we, where we decided to defer it until they knew that they had planning permission. And I don't know if this large ground mounted solar array, which they need planning permission for, is integral to this expansion. But if it is, again, it's dependent on whether or not they get planning consent.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the industry is being stacked with people wanting renewables. So the waiting list is getting longer and longer and longer. We're even forgetting planning for a moment. So there's a number of questions, if we may. Thanks. Is that the end of your input? Thank you. I have to say, I'm really chuffed with the way this has been done today. So, and I think I speak on behalf of my colleagues and the lead member, Councillor Williams, just to say thank you very much to you and the team. I understand this has been a lumpy one, a lot of work, shall we say. And I suppose really the numbers on these sheet give the reason as why it was going to be a lot of work. Sorry that we've added to your workload, but I think as was mentioned earlier by Bill, we do need to be cautious. You know, it's not our money. You know, we need to make sure that we can justify saying yay. And on that note, I'd like to, as I say, thank you very much, and we'll go on. So, marvellous. In that case, after thanking the officers and our Dem Services team, thank you very much, chaps. Nothing else but say thank you to you, guys, and John Williams, our lead member for finance, who he looked very calm all the way through this. It's nice. Although it wasn't his money, I suppose, so that's fine. It was somebody else's. So it wasn't quite as harsh for him. But I'll say thank you very much for coming today and doing what you've done, the read up on the first beforehand. And that's that. Let's start to say thank you to everybody else who's been watching. And any applicants who've been watching, I hope you're satisfied with what you've seen. And for those who we've deferred, it's not a no, it's a deferral and other information. So that's lovely. Could be Thursday, could be a month. So anyway, thank you very much, and that's it. Close the meeting.